Welcome back to the Mystic Media channel. I am your host, Rabina Rastaban, aka the Realist Astrologer. And I just wanted to add regarding the whole Afrika Bambaataa scandal is that I know I went hard on him, but I feel like people like him deserve it. Um, I know these are still allegations and he hasn't been proven guilty or anything, but like I said, I feel like the proof is in the astrological pudding. And I just feel that we need to stop giving people like him who are in positions of power a pass, especially because they've contributed good material or good information, good knowledge, good music, what have you, into the world. I mean, this shit has got to stop. I mean, there's too much abuse going on, too much, people looking the other way. I think there was a lot of people that, knew what was going on but just didn't say anything. And this brings me to the whole dark-sided Aries and dark-sided males in general. And what I'm learning is, and what I've learned from personal experience and also just being an observer of life and human nature. I'm starting to see that, men can be very cliquish and they can engage in this whole worship of the phallus or the penis. And to the extreme, it can deal with, homosexuality. But even when it's, heterosexuality, there's this phallic worship that goes on where men will allow other men to get away with grievous acts simply because they're men. And simply because they're like, oh, well, that's how he is, or well, that's his thing. It just seems like a lot of men nowadays aren't stepping up to the plate when it comes to protecting women and children. There's a lot of men who have male friends where they know their friend is beating up on their wife or their girlfriend and they just look the other way and don't say anything about it. I'm not saying they have to get physically involved, but if you got a friend and he's whooping his wife's ass, on the regular, and you're not saying anything about it or you're still his friend, I feel like you're half as guilty because you're enabling that behavior by remaining silent. And too much of that is going on. And a lot of it I feel like deals with, the proliferation of fatherless homes. So a lot of these males who lack proper guidance from a father figure, they turn to other males within their community, and a lot of guidance that these other males are giving them are is not of the right kind. So then uh you have this, growing movement of men who try to overcompensate for their lack of manhood, and as a result they engage in this phallic worship. So you see this, all the time. You see it especially in sports, and it just enables a lot of bad behavior from men, and this needs to stop. I feel like I can look at both sexes in an objective frame of mind, and part of that deals with the fact that I have Mars trine Venus in my chart. A lot of times people with Mars trine Venus, they can see both sides of the coin. They can relate to both male and female energy, and they can find that balance. And I feel like that also helps me to be a good relationship counselor and matchmaker and relationship compatibility expert. But there are too many men out there who engage in this phallic worship where men can do no wrong, or men are just excused for their bad behavior. And even in 2016, even with, new wave feminism or whatever you want to call it, postmodernist feminism, I never understand those terms. That sociology stuff I've never been into. But even with all of the, pro women stuff, it's still a man's world. Women are still treated as objects. Women are still, and a lot of it does fall on women because we don't have to feed into these boorish and brutish desires that a lot of these men have nowadays. Men are primarily built from Mars energy, and Mars energy is just naturally brutish, naturally sexual, naturally aggressive. But it's the women in society that keep that balance, and women are Venus, and Venus deals with balance. But nowadays, because of all this phallic worship, you have a lot of women that are engaging in phallic worship too. So you have a lot of women that are excusing bad behavior from men, or at least, or also trying to embody the same negative traits of these phallic worshiping males. So I feel like Afrika Bambaataa fits the whole profile of a phallic worshiping male, also dark sided Aries male. Basically, it's all about men and male power and male domination. But in the same vein, they end up dominating each other because Mars is never about peace. Mars is about conflict. So the whole phallic worship thing, it's a no-win situation. It's just going to produce a lot more strife, a lot more pain, a lot more aggression, a lot more violence. So that's just my take on that. There's a lot of phallic worship going on, and there's a lot of negative consequences that uh, manifest as a result. We got to get it together. Peace.